So everybody knows that OBS trucks are extremely popular right now, but it's getting pretty expensive to be able to get, that classic sport truck, that single cab, short bed, or even an extended cab. But you gotta remember, there's Tahoes and Suburbans. You can do all the same stuff to them, they have the same styling, and you get a couple extra doors. Now, we were able to pick up this 2000 Tahoe Limited with really low miles on it for pretty reasonable because, well, nobody's looking for them right now, and it needed a little bit of work. It didn't look anything like this when we first got it. So we started out a little bit ahead of the curve, being that we have a Tahoe Limited. Now this is actually a 1 year only in 2000, only made in black, special edition. And basically it was the carryover from the old body style to the new body style. Dude. Shoot it by the train tracks, it'll be cool. Yeah, all right. Let's do this. The 2000 Tahoe Limited is actually based on the 1996 Tahoe SS concept vehicle. This is designed by the same guy that did the Impala SS.
We think it's time for a close look at what could shortly be the newest SS to join the Chevy lineup. The SS is lowered a bit over an inch all around. That stance and the healthy horsepower from the production small block make this a sport utility for the track.
The 5.7 V8 under the hood and a lowered suspension, the Tahoe SS is a real sports car of an SUV.
So with the Tahoe Unlimited, I thought for the longest time that it was just a styling package upgrade. And obviously you got the front end that's all blacked out, you got color matched on everything, some upgraded wheels, a nice two-tone leather interior, but they threw everything at this that they could. A lot of the suspension and some of the drivetrain is actually from what's called a Police Package Tahoe. So the Police Package includes an upgraded suspension made for a little bit better handling. And because it's the Police Package, there's no governor on it. There's no speed limit on this thing. So we were able to pick up this 2000 Tahoe Limited for pretty reasonable, especially considering it only has 138,000 miles, which is probably half of what most, trucks that are 20 years old have on them. And the reason because there's a couple things that are broken on it, nothing crazy, but it runs solid, it drives super nice. The interior is pretty decent, except for it's just not been taken care of. So what we're gonna be doing today is we're going to go through, fix a couple things. So one of the things we're gonna be replacing is these factory mirrors. They're a little bit loose and they're just faded. It's easy enough to just, probably for about 80 or 100 bucks on Amazon to get a pair of these that are brand new, that include the power, and these are also heated mirrors on the Tahoe Limited. So we're just gonna swap these out. We're not gonna go to sport mirrors or anything like that. So we got lucky with having a nice set of old school billet wheels on here from Colorado Custom. Now, you might not be able to tell right now, but these used to be polished. They are oxidized beyond belief. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these off, get them media blasted completely, and we're probably gonna end up Cerakoting them rather than polishing them again because we just don't want to keep up with that maintenance, and we want to give it a little bit different look that's a little bit modernized but still has a little bit of the throwback look on it as well. This thing runs and drives perfectly. It was kept up on service and it only has 138,000 miles on it. So being that it needs some fixing up on the exterior, this thing's solid under the hood. So kind of like the outside, this is just a little bit dirty, but it's got a brand new AC Delco AC system on it because these things will go out. It already came with a K&N air intake, but the filter's a little bit dirty. So we are going to replace that, probably get this thing serviced, but other than that, this thing runs and drives perfectly fine. No leaks, no nothing, so We're just gonna kind of clean it up, fix a couple things, but for the most part, leave all the engine alone. So we got a pretty nice setup with a color matched grille. This already came with a billet insert, and we got some upgraded LED parking lights. Unfortunately, just over the years, the grille clips have broken on both sides. And with these, you can't really fix that. So we're actually gonna switch this over to a GMC grille. It just has a wide opening, just gives it a little nice, kind of different look. We're gonna color match that as well. And we're probably gonna end up doing a billet insert, but we're gonna Cerakote it just to match the wheels when we get those finished up. So like I said earlier, on the interior of the Tahoe Limiteds, they had a two-tone leather seats. Everything else was pretty standard for a Tahoe at the time. So let's take a look at the interior. Like the outside, it's just kind of a little bit dirty, so it needs to be cleaned up, fix a couple things on it, and then we're gonna also do some upgrades. So let's take a look. Oh yeah, that's the first thing that we're gonna fix on this. The driver's door handle does not open from the outside. So we're gonna have to replace the rod connector in here. It looks like maybe someone tried to break into this thing and that's why it got all messed up, but that's the first thing. So we got it off, but obviously we broke this one, but luckily we've got new ones to put on there. Ooh, that's dirty. Yeah, it's missing a clip right there. So we got a couple of these that we're gonna replace, but we're gonna try not to break too many because it starts to add up. All right, so now we got the door panel off, and now we got to get in and try to get the door handle out. This is one of the screws that goes into the door handle. This is access to another one. And then you're gonna have to remove this block off. This used to be a vent on some of the trucks. And we're gonna have to also lower down the latch in order to access it. And our guess is that the rod might have just become disconnected from the door handle, but we're gonna replace it with all new door handle, replace the lock cylinder in it, and hopefully get it all working again. So this is why it didn't work. We popped the lock through just to make it easier to get out. And here's the rod to actually open the door handle. And it wasn't even connected to anything. So I just want to tape this up just because it's a little bit of a pain getting it in there and everything connected. And we don't want to scratch this paint job up before we try to save it. This is a little bit tricky trying to pop this in there because you're dealing with the hinge for the door handle, the lock mechanism, the rod. You're gonna want to get the rod in first and then slowly work your way, and that's why we taped all this up. Slowly work your way to popping the lock back in, and definitely it helps having the latch loose because you can kind of move that around. But once you get it popped in, the lock might be set back still a little bit, but what you can do is remember what pocket you put your key in.
Where's that?
Where did I put it? Oh yeah, it's in my back pocket. Yeah, so there's my keys. Is you can pop the key in, turn it to lock it, and then pull against it, and that'll pull and lock in and secure the lock cylinder. So it's in there, we're good. It's functioning now. So we just got to button it back up and pop the door panel back on. So now we're inside the Tahoe and everything's pretty decent. Just like I said, it needs to be cleaned up, literally. But there's no tears on the seats. Everything's here. Nothing's really missing that's that devastating. We are going to do a couple custom things on here. I don't even own a tape. I can't remember the last time I've actually even had a CD in my hand. So we are gonna take the factory head unit out, and we're actually gonna convert the din and a half to a double din. You could either do this by replacing the entire bezel and painting it, or what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim here, and then we have a faceplate that's gonna go over and actually allow us to put a double din in here with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So back in 1995, a lot of safety features got added to pretty much every vehicle. And one of those was the fact that you had to have your foot firmly on the brake in order to shift the vehicle out of park. Also, there's a pretty common for it to go out on these vehicles. The fix is pretty easy. This is the sensor that's gone bad and needs to be replaced. It's a simple pop-on operation. So on the back end, we got the barn doors, and we've got these taillights that were cool when Fast and Furious came out about 20 years ago. Obviously they still work, but they're a little bit cheesy, so we're gonna replace these with some new smoked LED ones that are also DOT approved as well. The factory third brake light was actually cracked and broken. This is a aftermarket one with newer LED technology in it, and it's nicely smoked, so it'll blend in. It's also DOT approved. Same with the taillights that we're gonna be putting in, so no copper is gonna be able to pull us over and give us a fix-it ticket because they all got DOT numbers on it, so sorry, copper. Hopefully that's right. We picked up these LED taillights with a smoked lens, black housing, but still a DOT number on here, so ain't gonna get popped for it. And you just bolt right in, hook right up, and they actually have a converter box to go over from the traditional wiring to make the LEDs work without any, fast blinking and stuff like that. It maybe was issues in the past. So these are basically like the 20-year nicer, newer versions of what we're on here. So I'm just gonna bolt them up and make sure they light up. What's really nice about these is they're just clean, simple. You've got an outside running light. You got your brake light right here, reflector, so it's all legal. And I mean, everything just matches up to the shape of the vehicle. Nothing's bulging out like our old ones were, and it's just super clean. So being that this Tahoe is about 22 years old and the paint is black and it wasn't taken care of, it's in pretty rough shape, like literally, it's rough. And so once we get everything kind of repaired and fixed up on this, what we're gonna do is take it down to our buddies at Auto Sauce. They're gonna completely do a paint correction and full detail on this, and hopefully we can save a lot of this paint. Luckily it doesn't have, kind of the classic mid-90s, clear coat issues that a lot of the GM trucks had. Obviously it's a little bit later years, and it seems to be decent, but it just needs to be taken care of.